Mark, good to see you again. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, so good to see you, Petey.
This is actually crazy because we're talking about the season 3 release of Son of a Critch in the US and the CW, and I feel like it really feels like it was just yesterday we were talking about season 1. Like, it's pretty crazy. We're already 3 seasons in.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. We go fast.
And
Growing up before your eyes.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because, like, I know from a creative perspective, you just want to get something you made, like you want people to see it and you want to get something made. And then later you start thinking about goes on CBC in Canada, now goes to the States. Do you think about a lot of that stuff, or is it kind of just only when you have to think about those things do you think about it, like people seeing it?
Well, it's great. It's very exciting. I mean, when I grew up, like Thursday night TV in the States, so like Family Ties and everything, it was a big night. So to be on a Thursday night in the States is pretty exciting. But for when you're making the show, you're writing it's such a personal thing too, that you're just kind of doing it, and then you're writing it, and like, I'm sharing this thing, and this, I'm going to get that done. And then you go to film it, and we're all so close as a cast, so it's all about trying to get that done right. You're never really thinking beyond the creative process. Yeah. And then you're editing and stuff, and then it comes out, and then people are like, like tonight, it airs here in Canada.
Yep.
And then people are sending messages. Oh, I'm excited for the show tonight. Oh, I'm looking forward to. And you're like, oh, right, that comes on. Other people see it. You kind of forget for a bit, but it's so great to hear then the feedback and see what people thought, and to hear that people are watching as a family and stuff like that is really, really special.
I had no doubt because it's one of those. It's a matter of, like, when it came out on CBC, I'm like, this is gonna get picked up in the States, and it did. Like, it was just a matter of when rather than if. So I'm so happy for you and the cast. Honestly, I know all the work that's put in. I never asked you this before because I was looking back at past interviews and I'm interested. Does it get overwhelmed? Because I'm a creative as well, and I want to kind of, I always think about making something about my life and something becoming too close to home. Does it ever become overwhelming from a creative perspective, making something that is close to home like this? Because it's about your life in a lot of ways. There's a lot of sort of past experiences. Like, I'm just curious about that.
No, it's nice to share it, and it's kind of. It's just really cool. Like if you could find something that's like a memory that's really important or whatever, to peel back some layers and think about why it's so important and what's the lesson you've learned from that, which has been a great thing. Is like at the end of the show, we kind of wrap things up with a little narration about how we feel about that stuff. And that's kind of me kind of working through what it is. Why it's a memory. One thing that's fascinates me about this is what makes a moment a memory. Why is that so important? Well, why is that 4 minutes of that day important when the rest of the hours of that day, I have no idea what happened. Mm-hmm. And so that's been a really neat thing. So it's been lovely, and people have been very kind about it. So it's kind of nice to be able to share, and to know that there's a bunch of people who are curious.
But I also find it interesting just from a creative perspective, because like when you're a band, cutting a record and you have to pick the selection process of what goes on the CD. I feel like it's like, what memories get put in Son of a Critch? Like, I feel like there's a lot, right?
Well, every season's a track listing, right? Episode 1, glasses, episode 2, being on TV. Like, it's all these things go down through. And then once I have like, I always like look at every season, like, okay, I want to tell this story, this story, this story, this story. Yep. And like, well, what theme of that? Well, what was my brother going through then? Like, what would be a neat thing to pair that with and stuff like that. So that's a really neat part of the process.
Son of a Critch has obviously the comedy perspective. It's a sitcom. It's got the slice of life. From your perspective and what you've seen online and everything, what is the kind of element of the show that you're really kind of like, you're really happy to see kind of that online? Because people love the coming of age, seeing, young Mark kind of get up. I'm just curious, is that one of your favorite moments, like parts of it?
That's really cool. What I like about the show is that we have a lot of like dramatic moments where we can slow down. We don't have to go like laugh. A lot of sitcoms will be like, you have to have a laugh, so many laughs every minute. But with this, it's kind of like, that's okay. Now they're just going to have it. Pop and Mark are just going to have a talk in the bedroom. It's going to be serious. Mm-hmm. And then like, that's what I love about the show is that we're able to pump the brakes and go, we're not going to lose them. They'll stay for this. This is good. And let them have a little dramatic moment as well, And I think a lot of people talk about the heart of the show as well. Mm-hmm. And the type of show I always wanted to make, is doesn't have to be a laugh a minute. You can talk about something serious or let them be sad for a little bit, And I like letting the ear in there. You don't have to. There's one thing I learned doing stand up too, is you don't have to fill every moment talking. There be some air. It's okay. It's going to be good.
I still think one of my, yeah, absolutely. It's got a lot of heart. It does have the laughs, because one of my favorite moments ever, I think it was season 2 or season 1, just like the whole, when he brings us on the work and like the radio and basically muting that's like probably one of my favorites.
Oh, great. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That radio world growing up. I mean, I grew up next door to a radio station. My brother is the morning guy at that station now.
Yes.
So like it's such a big part of my life growing up was radio. So I love playing in that. There was a TV show called WKRP in Cincinnati years ago. It was one of my favorite shows. So it's kind of like the radio station. I get to have a little radio station sitcom too. And
it was like that scene was clipped on Instagram, because I remember Colton Gobbo posted it, and it was like the best. I'm like, it's like one of the greatest things.
It was a lot of fun.
I'm curious to kind of ask you this in regard, because, from the creative perspective, there's like 2 journeys, right? There's the journey of kind of writing a show, putting it together, and then going and filming it specifically. And in a lot of ways, those are 2 separate journeys. But I'm wondering if you kind of see it from a storytelling perspective as 2 separate journeys, or is it one kind of big son of a Critch journey with multiple steps?
I always, it is kind of separate in a way. Like, it's like the writing it is so different, and it's like a different crew and it's different things, and it starts off very solitarily, trying to figure out what it is we want to do, and then you get into the filming of it is a lot more like camp.
Yes,
the circus comes to town, all the crew and everything, and it's like when the circus sets up. We're in the studio, and then the cast comes in, and then you get to play with it. When you're writing it, so you're really trying to make it all work, and then it's like, okay, now you guys put your stamp on it, now put some ear in it, and then I'm still in my executive producer role. That's always there every day we're filming and stuff, even if I'm acting or not. But when I'm acting, I kind of like go, all right, I'm just a guy here now. I don't want to think about it. I'm just going to do this. And then that's kind of fun because you get to go like, okay, I'm an actor. I'm one of you guys. And then you get to play, right? So that's the neat part of it too.
I am so happy about this, and I'll tell you why. Because this is a question I bring up here and there because I love the perspectives, but you're the first person to say, I feel like it's 2 separate journeys. Everyone just goes like, no, it's one big journey with a lot of steps. Yes.
No, that's interesting. No, I always think of it as like, okay, this is that job.
Yeah.
I do them simultaneously.
But they're different, and things can change in between too, if you think about it.
Different.
Yeah.
They're completely different, right? One doesn't form the other, and stuff like that, but it's like, it is, and you want to keep them separate too. You want to have like, okay, this is a great script. And every time I look at a script, it's like, okay, I want to make this work, like, whether it's our cast doing it on TV or could you do this as a play, like make it like, just make it as strong as you can, and then step away and you have to focus on different things when you're actually doing it, and you have to let go. Like, I can't be like there too, like, no, I meant you to do it like this. You gotta go like, okay, they're going to do it. Let them it's a song, right? People play songs differently, and they might slow it down, they might speed it up. But
we're doing all these comparisons to being in the studio with a band. I love it.
Well, a comedy is a lot like music because it's timing and feel, right?
Absolutely.
And it's the way you deliver something. So 2 people can play the same piece of music, and it can be boring or it can be electric, and that's the same thing with comedy.
100%. I find it interesting too, because I'm sure like being conscious of the audience member always interests me from the process. And I'm sure when you're writing it, you always kind of have that a little bit. When you film it and you're making it, are you ever conscious of the audience member watching Son of a Critch, or does that kind of happen afterwards?
Well, I kind of go like, you go for the heart, you go for you try and write it. When you're writing, it's pretty personal, but you do go like, there's always like technical things, like where's the act break and stuff like that. But like, I just know myself, it's like, sometimes you'll be writing a sentence, and if there's 5 words in it, it's like, no, they'll laugh if there's 4 words in it. Like, you can feel it. You know what I mean? So it's like, you're always trying to, and you're writing things to get a laugh, but you're also like, you'll feel pressure. Like, what does the audience want? Sometimes like they'll want Mark and Fox to get together.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, maybe that's not the right thing though. So it's like, so sometimes you have to go like, you don't want to let that drive what you're doing creatively too much, because you want to stay true to yourself and whatever, and people will digest it differently.
Yep.
But comedy, you're always in mind of the audience, like when's a good time, and especially like for those more dramatic moments, like when's a good time to break, ha 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 ha, quiet, little, and then tie it up nicely at the end. I always try to like at least put a little tear in the eye at the very end of the episode if you can.
100%. I mean, if in a lot of ways, very quickly, I mean, there always was kind of serious undertones and heart and emotion with comedies. Like some of my favorite shows growing up, I go back and watch them. I'm like, there's like a lot of deep things here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and you can say a lot of truth with comedy that you can't otherwise, right?
Yeah.
Or you can say things in a way that people might not realize how serious you're being, but you like sugar with the medicine, you know?
Yep.
So it's a wonderful tool to have.
Totally. And this is exciting. You know, the season 3 season premiere in the US and the CW is right around the corner. That are going to be able to check it out at season 3 of Son of a Critch. As always, Mark, it's an honor and privilege to speak with you. Good to see you again. Thank you so much.
So great, Petey. Hope to see you next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.